Mike's camera started going up towards the light.
Yeah, well, I'm staying away from the light at my age. You don't want to go there yet.
Exactly. Come on, man.
He's trying to hide from us this morning.
No, no. I was adjusting it and then just said, you know what? I'm just going all the way to the ceiling.
Yeah, he's looking for one more light there. Well, good
So, some better
morning.
lighting.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9:01 a.m. Our book club is back. Hope everybody had a good 3-day weekend. And I sent something out to the Portable office this morning, basically realizing that, next week when we have this book club, it's going to be March. This is the last week of February already. We're going to be 2 months down into 2026. We're a sixth of the way through almost. It's crazy. Time flies, and now there's no more fog. At least I hope there's no
Yeah.
more fog. I mean, I saw 70 degrees, 75 degrees for the rest of the
Almost
week
all
here in
week. Yeah.
Porterville. I'm guessing it's going to be like that across the valley. Fresno, you don't have any more fog up there, do you, Sandra?
No, not recently, and it was pretty warm yesterday, but I do think we might get a little rain tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. You guys might get some rain. Rain was in the schedule for Fresno North area, maybe Madera,
Well,
Merced,
not
but
here in the South Valley, I'll tell you
mm-mm.
that. We're done with the rain. We'll get some more April showers for May flowers, but that's worrying about then versus now. I'm excited
Enjoying today.
to do this chapter with you, Sandra. These chapters 13, 14,
Yes.
and 15 of this, of The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. And the first chapter, One More Multiplier, is what I read. And I, this was a good one, Sandra. We talked about this one last week. Immediately going with it's very sports themed in certain parts.
It is that chapter was a lot of sports, so I'll go ahead and I have a little paragraph I want to read you guys, and then I'm going to let Adam take over with the sports thing because I was the last person chosen always in sports, and I don't even understand the
Well,
concept.
and that's kind of as soon as you told me that, I did look at that chapter. I did review that one. I read that one a couple weeks ago, but when I read it again this morning, I had that in mind because it's definitely it uses an aspect of it. Spoiler alert: it's Tom Brady who the guy uses, who Ed Mylett uses, um, but it's more lessons of Tom and a few other players. But Sandra, what is the paragraph that you have?
Okay, so I kind of summarized it with a little help from ChatGPT. I did read the book and I did listen to it to Audible. And I like doing both because I kind of get a different version from reading and then listening. So the one more multiplier is the idea that when the right forces come together, people, mindset, trust, and leadership, the results become greater than the sum of the parts. In real estate, this is the difference between working alone and creating momentum around you. Multipliers show up as trust with clients, reputation in the community, loyalty from past customers, collaboration with other agents, and strong vendor relationships. When those elements combine, production multiplies. Even single agents have teams. We have lenders, title reps, inspectors, photographers, past clients, and your sphere. Your
Mhm.
sphere, of course, that's going to be your team that you're creating. Leadership energy creates a trickle down effect when confidence, opportunity, and growth expands across. Um, I'm sorry, I lost my space. Across. Oh, I completely lost it. That gives people their voice, create an autonomy within structure, challenge others to operate at a higher level, and keep ego in check. Listen to feedback and know when to lead and when not to, um, and let go. I wanted to relate this a little bit to showing property because, you know, a lot of times we just go right into a property and we just blab. We're like, oh, what's that color? What's this? I
Uh-huh.
think we kind of can't control ourselves because most of us love homes and we do
We
have
have an immediate
great
bias.
opinion. But I really, I could relate to this as sometimes you need to let your client take the lead and you just need to be kind of quiet until you see what they're thinking, right? So I just kind of related that to that. And then uh create autonomy, I was kind of like, what does that mean? And I looked that up, and that is more freedom and authority to make your own decisions, your
Mhm.
guidance without micromanaging people. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, us as managers, I mean, I think that's something, I mean, any position I've ever been in, I've never liked being micromanaged. I know you don't like being micromanaged. So having that autonomous, just we have to have that mentality a lot of times, but we also know that the mics, they allow that for us. They give us that
Oh, they do.
opportunity because if they micromanaged us, it'd be a waste of their time. They'd just be, hitting themselves on the head. And, the managers here, we have some strong personalities, between you, Angela, Larry, and myself as well. So if that micromanaging happened, we would just like, all right, we're pump your brakes. We got this. So it's very similar with real estate agents, like you said, using that as a good example of just walking into a house. We're immediately pointing things out because it's in our nature. Like you said, we've already gone to see so many homes, and are we going to talk this person off of what they like about it? So maybe we say something and that's what they like about the property. Who knows? There's a lot of things like that to where it just, you have to let things go quite a bit. But this chapter is specifically called One More Multiplier. And I'm just like Sandra said, the sports theme, they started talking about that, and it wasn't necessarily her wheelhouse. For me, it is. I follow it plenty, but I don't think it's necessarily about sports in general. There's a specific quote in there in this chapter, and it's from a movie. So I think a lot of people have, if you haven't seen the movie Miracle, it's a really, really strong movie. It's a great movie, and it's relatable. I don't know who watched USA Hockey yesterday versus Canada, but the Winter Olympics are going on, and there's at least a couple of people on here who I hope watched it. Even if you didn't, that's okay. But you probably heard something, you've seen something on social media. But it was a big gold medal match, and it was about teamwork. Canada had they had the best players, probably individually, but did they have necessarily the best team? And that's where I think, the chapter is really going for it in, greatness attracting greatness. And the specific quote in there was, I'm not looking for the best players, I'm looking for the right players. And it goes into kind of the culture building of each of our offices, with our agents. Our agents, you guys want to work somewhere that you want to be. You want to be a part of something that you see as being great, which is what I think, has attracted a number of people to our offices. I mean, Sandra, you kill it with recruiting and getting people over to
Thank
that
you.
Fresno office. And I think that's part of it too, is,
The recruiting has really, it's really not my recruiting. It is definitely my agents recruiting because they're almost always the ones that, bring it to my attention that
Mhm.
they want this person on their team. So that
Because they're going to be the right fit.
relates right back to
And
everybody wanting, it's just a little bit a team effort, but I think the book mentioned when you feel like you're part of something that you're
yes,
not quite for sure, like where is this going? I definitely felt that way when I first started managing Fresno. But I'm like, okay, what's going to happen here? Well, we've
yeah.
just grown and grown, and that's really because of my agents for sure.
It is, and it's definitely a testament to the agents. And you won't say it, but I'll say it. I know the mics will say it, but a lot of that is a testament to your leadership too,
Oh, yep.
um, because these agents, they recognize they want to work with other people, but they also want to work with you, and they want to work with us as a whole. And I think that's part of the teamwork philosophy that they really touched on when they were speaking in the book. It's the Tom Brady chapter that's there. But, he wanted the right players in the right spots. I mean, we talked about this in some of our business meetings, making sure that we have the right players in the right seats. Carmen, right here, she's saying it right now, it's because of the atmosphere, the culture that you create, Sandra. And I think that's
With
a really,
everybody creating it for sure.
it's
You
everybody.
can create something, but if people don't show up, you have nothing.
Cor-
So it's the
Correct. And
people that
that's
show up.
That's the multiplier. With this chapter being one more multiplier, it's that, people who are showing up, you have great events there. Each office does this. And, getting people in the room, it's that energy that multiplies. And people have the energy. Now they see somebody's standards, so they want to do the same thing. There's a lot of emulation. That kind of happens in one of the other chapters too. In chapter 15, it does talk about that a little bit. But, just we say this in every, at least I say this, I feel like in every call, like, hey, we tell people to show up to the offices because you're going to work better surrounded by your colleagues, surrounded by people in your industry, because you will have plenty to talk about. If you have something going on, there's a chance this other person may have this going on with a deal, or they've had that going on with a past deal. So sharing ideas, just creating that culture, it's this multiplier that just builds and builds and builds and creates, like you said, a team. We are individual. A lot of people are individual agents. They're independent contractors,
Sure. It's,
but
I
you
think
have
it's
so many
funny.
partners in that.
I think it's funny when newer agents come in. It's very interesting to me that how broad real estate is and how many things we have to learn in real estate. There's a lot to learn if you take social media. I mean, we have things that we have to do now that we used to not do.
Hmm.
And real estate is just not black and white. It's not right this way. It's not. So you have to find that whole culture of your own team
Yeah.
and figuring out as an independent contractor how you're going to run your team, how you're going to focus on your own business. And the broker is there to help you along the way. We should be able to guide you, but it's really you who gives yourself your motivation. It's a
Yeah.
self-motivating field, and it is always hard to keep motivated and to keep that motivation going. So I think the definitely I will say reading books and meeting together as a club makes you think about that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of why we wanted to do these on Monday mornings to get more people involved. And I see plenty of people on, they've got their video screens on right now. This is one to where, guys, if you have something, throw it out there. You're able to unmute yourself. You're able to join us in this conversation. So don't feel like you don't have to, um, because that's a multiplying effect. One other person who speaks up right now, you are going to say something that Sandra and I, we may not have thought of, but somebody else is thinking that they don't necessarily want to, speak up and it's kind of be uncomfortable being on camera or just throwing yourself out there. That's a lot of chapter 14, the one more inconvenience. But the multiplier effect in chapter 13, again, it just goes back to that collaboration and working together. The right people, we multiply the performance. I work, trust me, I work great solo. I enjoy that. However, I just got done with a very collaborative meeting over the weekend with a number of people in our industry, and I know I came out of that so much better because I wasn't working alone. I was working with other people, especially people in our industry. And that is going to, I mean, that already makes me a better agent, a better leader, a better manager, a better mentor. And I think for the agents here, agents have to do that for their clients on an everyday basis. And that's what I think this chapter really, really touches on quite a bit. Mike, you've read this and you've listened to this book multiple times, I think. Speaking as the managing broker here, as the co-owner of this company, when you see that, it's not necessarily talent. We've used quantity over quality. In a few different sessions because some people look for the numbers of the quantity, but I think what this book and what this chapter is trying to say is, talent alone doesn't build it. It's chemistry, it's shared standards. I mean, we've got core values that state that. And I think that's one of your guys' visions, in growing this company as much as you have, right?
Oh no, absolutely. We've been from the very beginning. It's about the agents, not about the managers, not about Mike and I. It's about what we can do to help our clients. And as managers and staff and brokers, our clients are the agents.
Hmm.
And so, as an agent, you have to realize what your clients are looking for. And they're looking for buyers, sellers, or investors. And you got to then know how to answer their questions, right? You got to know how to build value in their eyes. And so, one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that we are that other missing piece for you, giving you the tools and the training and being here for us when you need us to answer questions so that you can do one more deal, so that you can feel confident. And much to what you said, I'm not looking for the best players, I'm looking for the right players.
Mhm.
Who are the right players on your team, as Sandra was saying? Who's the lender that doesn't let you down? Who's the lender that answers your questions? Who's the lender that's available for you on evenings and weekends? Who's a home inspector that doesn't scare your clients away? Who's a home inspector that will go out there and walk your clients through questions that they have? And so when clients are looking for you to help them buy, sell, or invest, they're looking for you to be the person that connects them with everything real estate related. What lender, what inspector, what insurance company should they use? What escrow company should they use? What lawn service do they need? Who's the window washer? Who's the lawn person? Who's the plumber? Who's the electrician? They want you to connect them all. And
Mhm.
so, what you should be doing as a real estate agent is getting your team together. Again, what Sandra was saying, get these people in place to help you be a better professional, people that make you look good, people that make you sound good, and then don't micromanage the deal. When you have to work with people, can you trust them? Will they do the job or do you have to micromanage them? Because if you're micromanaging them, then you're not really focusing on the rest of your clients and the rest of building your business. You need to have people in place. And again, for real estate agents, it's the vendors, the lenders, it's everybody you work with that will allow you to put that deal into escrow, go with your transaction coordinator, and then go get the next one to put another one in escrow. And so again, it's finding the people that make you work more efficiently to make you focus on what you do well. And I mean, that's what it is in real estate and in life. Do the stuff you're good at, and whatever you're not good at or don't like, give it to somebody else to do. And in the
Yeah,
process, they
exactly. I
make
mean,
you look good.
that's going to raise you up. It's going to raise your
Yeah,
game. Having a strong team,
I think
it's
I
vital.
think building your team, and some of this, I think it goes into chapter 15 when sometimes you have to make hard changes too. And
Yep.
that's really hard for me because I'm very loyal to people. I'm super loyal. If I like somebody and they've been good to me, I find it very hard to pull my business back, or I am a very loyal person. But you do have to remember that sometimes you have to pivot and make changes with real estate, and you have to get new title reps. You have to get new lenders sometimes if
Yeah.
they're not performing to your
yeah. Good morning.
client's needs. And that's really hard. You don't want to get stuck
Yeah,
into a box.
I
You
think
have to have those changes,
you know what you're saying is really important, Sandra. And if I could add just a little bit to it,
please.
is you have to own your business, right? You
Yeah.
you you're working with us and you're working with Century 21, so you have the brand behind you, and we're all here to support you. But your clients need to see you in action and they need to believe that you understand and believe what you're saying. And when there's a mistake done, that you own it because they don't have to believe or understand everything you're saying, but they have to trust that you're honest.
Yeah.
And the time that they see you not be honest, not own up to a mistake, not call them back, not do something that you said was going to happen in the transaction, all
Mhm.
of a sudden they don't trust you, don't want to work with you. And so in real estate, life is not perfect. Transactions are not perfect. We all have deals fall apart and things that come up in inspections and appraisals, but you have to just own it. Own it and move forward because when they see you take ownership of that, they will want to work with you more and they will see you as somebody who's honest. And that's what you need to be in real estate.
And you need to be open. Yeah, that
Yeah.
honest part. You have to be open about that. I mean, if you don't have somebody that's working out for you, I know I
Yeah.
can speak for, an agent here. They were using a lender that just you could tell fiercely loyal, fiercely loyal, to a point to where it was, I could see it, but they couldn't see it. They couldn't see
Yeah.
where the issues were, unfortunately. I think that happens. It's a level of, you get comfortable and making that change, having that pivot, like you discussed, Sandra. It's tough for a lot of people. And it finally got to a point to where, I had to sit this person down and we had to have a conversation. What have you tried anybody else? Because this relationship, it's already toxic. I can already see that it's not working and it's not benefiting your client. It's not benefiting your client and it's affecting you. So, try to make that change because you need that chemistry. This is just weakening yourself, this deal right there. And that's the last thing you don't want your standards to go down. You want your standards to increase. So you should surround yourself. And one of the things that's here, greatness attracts greatness. You want to be surrounded by people who are going to lift you up, people who are going to make you better. Previously, in one of the chapters, talked about essentially a circle of trust to where, over the years, there's our core four, there's our core five, just group that knows everything about us. And then it just slowly trickles out because we get rid of toxic relationships. So in real estate, if anybody ever has that, it's okay. I mean, we go to different things, and you've got lenders, you've got title, all these people. They want our business, obviously, and it's tough to move, but sometimes it's necessary. It's it just needs to happen. So, Sandra, with chapter 13, was there anything else that you had in there that you would wanted to talk about? I think one of the last things for me that I had on it was um, that team chemistry part, just going in that it's short-term thinking versus long-term. The now versus later. I'm a big picture person. I'm not going to look for that instant gratification because I see what's down the line if you keep working harder and harder for it. So I think
Well,
that's one of the things that me as a leader, as a manager, my commitment to long-term success for my agents, for our company. That's the most paramount thing in, I think, our management positions is, for everybody else that's here, like we're worried about them way more than we worry about us. And I think we have to be. I know, Sandra, you do the
I-
same thing. Angela, I see you right there too. You can nod your head there because I know you have that same feeling of it. So the agents
so
and
there is something for leadership principles. I was just going to say this kind of just is my take as management. So but because I sell and I'm an agent, I kind of thought about this. The brokers, how people we trade around a lot in real estate. I mean, some people do. Some people have been with us for 28 years, but also people, you know, sometimes in real estate, they're looking for the next, is the grass greener on the other side
right,
because they want their business to grow. But really, this is your business and you're the one that can grow it, probably no matter where you're at. But I was just thinking kind of general on Central 21 that we provide the roadmap, but the agents, you provide the drive. The company can give you opportunity, but only you can give yourself ambition. When someone takes ownership of their growth, everything around them starts to expand. So I kind of thought that was, um, you
I
know,
love it.
we're getting to our spring season, get your systems intact and,
Yeah.
get ready to get that motivation to roll.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these first few months, they're already flying by. Like I said, next week, we're going to be in March. When we have this next meeting, it's going to be March already. That's crazy. We're
Yeah.
halfway through, so we're not halfway through, but we're a sixth of the way through, rather. Um, and are you guys doing are you where you thought you would be? When we left the Jared James event on January 6th, everybody had these goals. Okay, well, January 6th was quite a few weeks ago now. Where are you at now? Have you lived up to those standards? And if not, like what can you be doing? What is that one more? What is that multiplier that can start getting you there? And I think that with this book, I'm glad this book was chosen because it's just that idea that one more, make that one more call, do that one more thing, show up just a little bit earlier, little things like that. That's doing one more. And that is really going to have a positive effect on your business. So these chapters are short too, guys. They're stuffing so much information in 12 pages, 13 pages. It's easy read and a motivating read. And it takes us to chapter 14. Chapter 14 is one more inconvenience.
Mm.
I feel like everybody here would raise their hand. If, you had to do something that was inconvenient. Is it always easy to do something inconvenient? Probably not. We know that's the case, and I think the opening line in this chapter is talking about convenience and greatness. They cannot coexist. Most things, whenever you try to do and want to be great, it's not necessarily going to be handed to you. It's not going to be convenient. It's kind of inconvenient at times, and you have to actually put some work in, put some effort into it. What did you get from chapter 14?
So kind of the core concept, um, identifying inconvenience in real estate, right? Inconvenience versus problems. So I think a lot of times we just freak out and we think we have these huge problems, or our clients do.
Yeah.
But I think setting the standard when you're taking a listing or you're showing people, your buyers, setting the standard that they are going to be inconvenienced and you're going to handle the big problems when they come up. And I was just thinking, like, what are some of the sellers' inconveniences that you can kind of coach them on? So, selling a home will involve inconveniences, keeping the house clean, leaving for showings unexpectedly, showings at the last minute that are going to be canceled,
Mhm.
repair requests,
Mhm.
negotiations on price and terms, inspections, appraisal problems sometimes. These are those are just steps that are little inconveniences along the way of the transaction to get to the next chapter of life for them. So I kind of related it just to that seller, and then the buyer's perspective. Buyer
Mhm.
also comes with inconveniences, looking at a lot of homes, maybe making multiple offers, waiting for a response, providing lender documents. You're going to dig down and get those documents. It's going to take a little work.
Yeah.
But in the long run, the path of home ownership, stability, and wealth building is so worth those inconveniences. And so I think as agents, it is our job to kind of coach people, the sellers and the buyers, set the bar for them. Talk about these things ahead, and you won't have the problems in your transactions, and you can keep them together more easily.
Nobody wants surprises. I mean, I think that was one of the big factors that led to this NAR settlement back in 2024 now, because people were surprised at escrow when they were seeing their final statements, and they're saying, wait a second, you're making how much? This person's getting this much on the other side of it, because there was a surprise. They weren't having a conversation. I think people had difficulties with that at the beginning. Now it should be like nobody should, hopefully, I want to say that hopefully nobody should be having, it shouldn't be that difficult of a conversation to explain your worth as a realtor, your worth as an agent, as a salesperson. This is what you do. This is your profession. Um,
Well, if
but
if these people are getting sellers and buyers nets, that kind of takes care of that whole
Exactly. And
entire
that's
problem.
just it's a
So
standard. And we realized that's kind of what led to that lawsuit is people weren't doing that. They weren't doing business the right way because maybe it was a difficult conversation. It was an inconvenient conversation that they, should have had from the beginning. That way there was no questions later. And I think that was just
I make everybody sign a seller's net when I first sit down with them. I make them sign it. I'm like, okay, well, let's go over this,
because you
and
cannot
you're
say
going
that
to
we did
sign
not
it.
go over this.
Right. Hmm.
And that's a good lesson, I think, for a lot of the people on here. Are you having your sellers? You better be having your sellers at least review some sort of net sheet. You don't want there to be that surprise, but just having them sign it, like that's a really, really good practice that you guys can use, so that there isn't that awkward conversation later of, well, I didn't know you were making this much, or I was only going to net this. No, that's a conversation that can happen right at the start, because if you avoid it, that only makes it worse. And I think that there's probably, within our company, inconveniences are, or rather avoidances, I would say. I know that there's one. probably at least one thing that everybody here has been avoiding for just a little bit too long. They've put it off for just a little bit too long. Whether it's a conversation with a buyer, conversation with a seller, rather than like doing that hard thing like right off the bat. Like don't hesitate, don't wait, because it just weighs and weighs and weighs, and then you'll start avoiding it more and more. One of the principles that was on here was talking about starting the day with the hardest tasks, because you the more you get into the day, sometimes you say, oh, well, I can do it tomorrow, rather than doing it right off the start. And it's difficult, I think, for a lot of people to do that. I know I've done that plenty, and I'm sure everybody else here has too. But I think if you start the day, and this is a really good lesson that came from this chapter, is starting your day with the hardest tasks really will make your day that much easier, right? I feel like it would.
Yeah, I kind of live by the little tiny book Eat the Frog. It's about this big. If you guys haven't read
Tell me
it.
more about Eat the Frog.
So Eat the Frog is about you wake up in the morning and you pretend you're the frog. You're gonna eat the biggest problem that you have, like the first fly of the day. But instead of doing the small things, that thing that you really don't want to do, you take care of the very first thing, and it really turns your day than trying to do small things and avoiding that one thing that is in your head.
Eat the
And
F-
I think for me, I don't like the repair requests, and I think I hear that from a lot of my agents.
Mhm.
Everything goes really well in your transaction, but then when you get to repairs, it's just kind of that, oh, I gotta sit down with the seller and explain, because so many sellers kind of intimidate us when we list. They're like, I'm not doing any repairs. There's nothing
Yep.
wrong with my house. I know we hear that all the time. So setting that standard again with the seller that you're going to do a few repairs to get through this,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I could kind of relate it to that.
And that's something you can even build that into the net sheet. Throw that in there as a cost on the net sheet, where again, it's an estimated net sheet. We're not saying this is exactly how much you're going to make, but you could add that in as a potential cost for selling the home, again, to where now they've signed it. They're like, what do you mean? Like this is here. We talked about this. So that's something you can even add into that, because that RR conversation, most people will say, well, no, like you said, I'm selling it as is. Like, why are they buying this house? They saw what it was. They know that there was a problem here. They want me to fix it. Why can't they fix it afterwards? Like, well, this is still
So
your house, and
yeah,
they have contingencies. They're not necessarily going to release it.
if I have a request to go over, that's going to be one of the first things that I get out of my mind during the day, because yeah, that just kind of will work on me. I want to make sure, let's get that repair request done.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
fast as
Avoiding it,
possible.
yeah, avoiding it it makes it worse. One of the other notes on here specifically for this chapter, it's kind of going in that same vein. Knowing that there's a difference between a problem and an inconvenience, and there is a difference in those things. And an inconvenience is something that you can actually do. You're just like I said, avoid it. Like the inconvenience of an RR, we know that's going to happen. We already know it's going to come up. So don't avoid it versus a legitimate problem, like a problem that shows up from an inspection. Okay, if there's foundation issues, let's talk. If there's something else going on with the house, then yeah, sure, we are going to have to address that. But you just can't avoid it. I mean, I don't necessarily like getting up at 5 a.m. and starting my day on Mondays preparing, and I want to make sure I'm prepared on this. Is that a problem or an inconvenience? Hey, I want to sleep in. I would love to do that, but I know that there's things that need to be done. So, okay, I'm gonna not hit snooze. I'm just gonna get up and start the day and get going with that. And I think that's something, I mean, it talked about going to the gym, and the inconvenience of going to the gym. Well, it's inconvenient, but if you want to have results, that's where the inconvenience is okay. Like if it was convenient, if it was easy, then yeah, everybody would do it. But the having it be a difficult thing, that's an inconvenience, but it gets you to that goal. It lets you get to that end game that you want to be at. Whether it's the gym, whether it's the sale, whether it's the deal, anything, by doing that one little inconvenience of showing up earlier, getting there on time, just making sure you're doing it, it makes you feel better. I know it does.
So, I'm going to read a little something. Leadership lessons for agents. Professional agents expect inconvenience. They stay calm and they help their clients stay focused on the outcome. A strong leadership message. This is normal. We are still moving forward. Your confidence in this is going to be your client's confidence. And I think that leading our clients in the right direction and, keeping the eye
Hmm.
on the closing and what it is that they want, that's where we have to dig deep as leaders and agents. We are big leaders, all of us are in getting the flow to the close
No,
and what it is the
absolutely.
client really wants. They either want to buy a house or they want to sell a house. So we have to be leaders in keeping that in mind. What is the focus of this? And these are just little inconveniences to get us
Yeah,
to that.
agreed. So I think the challenge that I would pose to everybody here is, what is that one inconvenient thing? What is that one uncomfortable activity that you want to try, that you should be doing, that would grow your business, that would do something to improve your business, to improve your day, your week, your month, your year, you name it, your relationships, you name it. Find that one inconvenient thing and just tackle it. Tackle it. You're going to feel better. You will absolutely feel better because avoiding it and putting it off, it really, really, really doesn't help. This chapter ended with asking three questions. And the three questions that I'll pose to everybody here on it is, what kind of life do I want to lead? Who are the people I want in my life? And what are my standards for reaching the goals I have? And with those standards, will come some inconveniences to get to those standards, to get to those goals. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And it's just a lot of
I
times
think
it's not easy,
too,
so you got to try.
I think too, Adam, it talked about the your identity. Your identity determines how you respond. Professionally, a professional identity.
Hmm.
You're a problem solver, you're a guide, you're an advisor, you're a leader when you identify, when you're when you identify as an agent, you're definitely the leader for your clients. And that kind of your identity of being a real estate agent, what kind of real estate agent do you want to be? So, you know, calm, assertive, you
Hmm.
know. Oh, and something I always think about identity, this would just be like me in being a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Remember in the beginning of being a real estate agent, I was so enthusiastic. Oh my God. I would be like, oh my God, I found this house. I would be up till midnight looking at homes and sending it. And I just couldn't believe, how fun it was to be able to find a home for someone. And, before they found it, of course, because Zillow wasn't along at that time. But I had several clients point out, you are so enthusiastic. You're really enthusiastic about this real estate thing.
Hmm.
And I think for me, when I read this book and is talking about identity, I never want to lose that.
Right.
Because I do love real estate and I love helping people. And I think that a lot of times we need to have a little bit more of that enthusiastic. um, does that make
People
sense with
will,
the
it,
identity?
it does, because what ends up happening, does that enthusiasm, does it carry over? And does it stay that way, or do you get a little too comfortable and have that same passion, that same fire, that same energy that you started with versus
Well,
now?
if you're handing people the keys, well, oh, we closed another one. No, it's such a big celebration and it's such a big thing for people that I think we have to remember to keep our spirit and that intact. Um, even though for us, it might just be another closing. We kind of think of it sometimes that way, especially those agents that are doing really well and they're closing 4 or 5 homes a month, to remember that it is just so special for people to own a home, and sometimes they only do it once or twice in their whole lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even with that, the agents who are closing 4 or 5 a month versus the agents who are closing 4 or 5 a year, or the agents that are closing, 1 or 2 a year. And that's to where, are you satisfied with that? Or could there be some inconvenient thing that you need to do so that you could be doing 4 or 5 a month? Is that what you want? And if that's not what you want, then okay, that's to each their own. But in our industry, in our business, and for you to have potentially to answer that question, what kind of life do I want to lead? Will that improve your life? You'll get busier, and that's a good thing. But again, it goes back to the team. We've got transaction coordinators. We've got people here that are going to see you succeed. We are going to support and be a crutch for you if need be. So just having that slight inconvenience to get you to those goals
So
is
that I think the book said inconvenience is temporary, results are lasting. That's
everybody,
big. If
everybody
you
write that
really
down. Say
think
that
about
again,
that,
Sandra.
that's temporary, but the results are lasting. So, and
Inconvenience is temporary, the results are lasting. And that's it. So, going back to that enthusiasm, let that enthusiasm be lasting because then you're going to get referrals out of that. The people who thought of you that way, like this agent was so excited for me. They worked their butts off. They did everything they could to see me succeed. Well, they're going to tell their friends, their family members about that, and it's going to stick with them. And establishing your identity, that's who you want to be. You want other people to talk about you that way. You don't want to have to talk yourself up. You want other people to talk yourself up. Let them do that. I hate talking about myself. I want to talk about other people. I'll let people say whatever they want to say about me. I'm uncomfortable, even though I'm a very, I mean, Amy will tell me I'm, too self-confident at times. Yes, I am. But that goes, I think, because I worry so much about, everybody else here. I will type up every single agent, every person that walks through this door. And I know everybody else here will do the same. Because we want their identities to grow. We want everybody to have that self-confidence. I want everybody on here to have that same, confidence and trust and just belief that you can, because you can. It really is.
so there was some study reflection questions that I thought these were interesting. How do I
Great.
personally react to inconvenience? So how are you reacting to inconvenience? Do I see inconvenience as as progress, or is it a setback?
Mm.
And then how can I prepare clients emotionally for the process, which we already kind of talked about, just pre-prepping that they're going to be inconvenienced. Um, what identity helps me stay calm? How does my identity help me stay calm and be able to get through a transaction?
Yeah.
I thought those were all kind of like questions you could think about as an agent that might maybe want to change some things this year.
No, absolutely. I mean,
I cuss a lot. I have a bad mouth. I'm like Mike. Um, yeah, Michael. I'll point you out, but and through the years, I really have figured out, it's not classy. It's not something I should, but I'm sure all my agents know when I get mad, I'm going to be like, "Oh, that was mother," and I have just always had a very strong mouth, especially if I'm mad. And through the years, I've really tried to change that about my identity. And
you've reshaped the identity.
I
Yeah.
mean, I really have had to work on it. I have to work on it because yeah, it's not good. I shouldn't be cussing and I know better, but it just is one of those things that
it can be second nature at
I want
times
to
where you
work
don't even
on.
realize that you're saying it. It's one of those things just to become, part of the vocabulary. But you do catch yourself. Trust me,
Yeah.
we are
So that
all
wouldn't be
guilty.
good if I'm with clients and you get mad at another agent or whatever, because you're just kind of bringing those problems. You're making a problem instead of an inconvenience. So I guess that's what
There
I
it
want
is.
to
There
say.
it is.
Yes, yeah. Don't create the problem with language, or really react to things when they're just little things.
Yeah, no,
Got
it's
a
it's
we got somebody said
it's
something.
the attitude. It's Charlie who's kind of saying, Charlie's saying it takes concentration to stay calm while the other
Ooh,
person is
yes.
loud and rude. You really have to think about keeping yourself under control. And that's something, that's what that other person is going to see. Do you want them to have a memory of you
No,
as that individual? Like you said, no, no, you want
no.
them to think of you in the most uplifting, positive way so that when they talk about you behind your back, it's all nothing but good things. Talking behind your back isn't necessarily a bad thing at all times because you could be saying great things. And yeah, yeah, you're right. I am talking behind your back, but did you hear what I said about you? I said how awesome you were. I said how great you were to work with, how easy everything was, how you made my life easier. Like, keep talking behind my back then. Go ahead. Don't let me stop that. So it's something that I think, creating that identity and really passing that on it's it's long-term growth and it'll make you a better person and a better agent. Um, that was chapter
So
14. One more convenient. What, did you have something else from there?
no, I think we should go on to chapter 15.
Chapter
Can
15,
I
one
can I
more.
I'll start it out. How's
And
that?
defining leadership. Go.
Chapter 15, defining leadership. If you want to lift yourself up, lift someone else up, right? Leadership is not about position, it's about service. The greatest leaders understand a simple truth. When you focus only on yourself, your world becomes small. When you focus on helping others, your world becomes meaningful. Ooh, isn't that good? So, just a
Say
mother.
that say that last line one more time.
Yes. When you focus on helping others, your world becomes meaningful. So, this is something as a mom, I would tell my kids, when they would be like, I'm bored, I'm depressed, I don't feel good. Guess what? I would tell them, you're thinking about yourself too much. If you weren't thinking about yourself, then you wouldn't feel bored, tired. You wouldn't feel all that. Because you'd be thinking about what you could do, like for your mom. Could you be sweeping? Could you be
Yeah.
doing something? You'll feel really good if you do that stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, I could really relate that in sometimes we just get bogged down about thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
But if we think about others and what we can do for others, that completely goes away.
It's the selflessness versus the selfishness, I think, in that in kind of what you just described right there. And the idea of being selfless is it's I truly believe it's a core principle I want more people just to have in general because you think of the me versus the we, the us, the whole. And you're right, that I mentality. I mean, there's times when it's needed. I'm not going to say that it's not. Absolutely. However, in being a leader, and everybody on here, everybody on this call, you are a leader. You are a leader in your industry. You are with Century 21. You are with us. Like this is the leading company. This is you couldn't work for a better company to have better brokers for this. And part of the reason that we are a part of it is because when the mics speak, they're not saying something just to say it. We don't necessarily have to. I think one of the things I saw in there is we don't have to believe what they say. We may believe it's a pipe dream, but we need to believe that they believe what they're saying because that's going to instill the confidence and the trust. And the same thing with agents here when you're dealing with clients, they want to see, like, don't BS them, that's it's going to something people will see through. And if there's something you generally don't know, that's okay. Like, but you're going to find out and you're going to let them believe that they have the utmost confidence in you just by not immediately saying something as a small untruth, like, well, that can grow quite a bit. So, you have to believe that I believe it. I have to believe that Michael and Mike believe it because that makes us, stick around. That makes us want to believe in the vision. Again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, the short term versus the long term, and that's where I think, the leadership part of it, which is something I love the idea of being a manager. It's been my favorite thing to do. I've been in management for more than 20 years. I enjoy the hell out of it. I never want to do anything else than that. Same thing. I'll, help people buy and sell as well. But the idea of leading is something I prefer doing. I want somebody to walk through that door and, ask me a question. If I can help them, then I will. If I can't at the time, I'm going to find out what I need to do so that I can help them. And I think that goes along with everybody here. And that's what makes everybody on this call and everybody who's going to end up listening. You are leaders. So it's okay. People want to follow the vision. And there's one principle on here that I really I took down, and it's something. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I hadn't heard this specific quote before. It was that most things in life are caught, not taught. Most people
Yeah.
do, you know, they want to see you do it. When people say lead by example, well, they want to see that you're, doing what you're saying right there because we can listen to things. I can read things, but if I have a mentor that I've been looking at, or we've got agents who are new agents, and we partner them up with the mentor because they need to see it. Once they see it in action, all of a sudden it sticks with them, and that's something to where, yes, they're caught, not taught. I took that like, oh, that makes
Charles
perfect
has
sense to me.
something. I think we have something in the chat.
We do. Charlie, throwing it out there. Leaders can be dishwashers, field workers, many different positions. It's what they do, how they recognize the needs and drives of others, and how they treat them that counts and leads to others following them.
Yeah, I
So
love it.
I think in chapter 15 it talks about how you have to sell a dream, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
and that's funny that you could relate that across the board to anything that you're working in. I like
Mhm.
that. It could be anything. You're selling a dream. But for us, we're lucky we get to sell a big dream, houses.
That's
But
right.
as leaders, we are not just selling houses, we're selling a dream.
Mhm.
What dreams could be more powerful than home ownership? I don't really know. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, home ownership is just so big that we're lucky that the dream that we get to sell is this. I mean, I think that's amazing. A home represents security, family, stability, pride, wealth building, and legacy. You're not just selling property, you're changing lives. And I love that. I know I've heard Michael say, about that. Every agent was created with unique talents. Leadership means helping agents discover and use their gifts, not forcing them into someone else's mold. So there
Yeah.
goes that where we're independent contractors, the broker lays all these tools out and you get to choose which tools you use and how you run your business, which I think is amazing. And then we go into the 6 human needs and leadership. Do you have anything on that?
The
Um,
6 human needs on there. So this book talked, or this chapter, it talked about the three elements of leadership, and Sandra hit the biggest one right there. Selling the big dream. And in our industry, we really are selling the biggest dream. It can't, yeah, like you said, are you able to find something bigger than this?
can anybody remember like the first time they sold a house? I literally had like a minivan. I had this red old minivan, and all the agents had like, fancy Mercedes and stuff, at the time. And I remember I sold a house and I had my old minivan and I must have been doing 60. I was like, I just sold a house. I couldn't believe I had actually sold a house, I mean, I just think that it's so exciting.
It was the big dream, and you did it.
Yeah.
It really, really was. The 6 human needs that this chapter talked about, if I see it here, Certainty, uncertainty and variety, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. So of those six, was there one that you would kind of like looked at and say, is there a more defining human need of like, if people will look at it, they'll look through that list and say, this one I identify with this more than the others. Was there any one of those that did for me? I mean, I'll just tell you right now, it was growth. It was growth and contribution, but that's again, that goes back to me just wanting to be a manager for as long as I have been. That's been kind of the basis, or rather the foundation of me in this role. The growth and contribution that I can provide for the team, to see them grow, to see them succeed.
Yeah.
In that, and that's not for everybody. And some of them, it could be absolute love and connection. People have the different love languages that are there. So people have different specific human needs that they identify more than the others. Was there one that you had there, Sandra, that was just more, or
Um,
maybe they're all equal?
yeah, I mean, I guess also you could have a little bit of certain, ones, but I thought this was interesting in when you're working with clients, maybe trying to figure this out. You know, what are their needs? And then maybe you could go off of that. So certainly provide systems, training, and support to agents feel secure.
Hmm.
Uncertainty and variety keep agents organized with challenges, goals, and creativity.
Hmm.
I guess I kind of like that one because
Mhm.
I am a little creative and I get bored pretty easy with things. So I like that real estate in general. I think it's so fascinating that I get up in the morning and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Oh, whoops. I don't know what I'm going to do today. Am I going to sell a house? Am I going to show a home? Am I going to doctor a deal? Especially like managing, then you get all these other things
Yep.
that you do. And to me, that's so exciting. But to other people, that might be a terrible feeling that they have, they don't
They don't want
wait a
that.
minute, eight
Yeah.
o'clock is this. Like my husband's the opposite. He is the total opposite of me. He wants to know, like, where are we going? Do we have our hotel? No, we didn't get a hotel. We'll get one on the way. That's how I am. I like to wake up and just see what God gives me for the day. But
So he's the certainty, you're the uncertainty and
so yeah,
variety,
I guess that's probably my
the agent of chaos.
yes, I like chaos. I do. I like chaos. That's why I love real estate, right? Because
That's
it's pretty chaotic.
it is, and that's a really, really good way to, to end this chapter and this session with, the takeaway from this, is one more. Again, this is, I think, one of the last lines in this chapter of, always doing one more. Differentiate yourself, do one more hour, do one more call, do one more message, one more whatever it may be, and see just how much that's going to dramatically increase what you're
Yeah.
doing, your productivity, your own growth. Mike, talk to me. Tell me more here. You got your hand up.
I do. I just wanted to finish up a couple of just thoughts as you guys were talking that came back from the book.
Yeah.
And the author said, as he was coming up in his career, when he first wrote the book, and it was getting published, the way to get him to come and talk to your group was not by offering them a lot of money, but by saying, hey, there's going to be thousands of people there and they're all going to hear your story. And that motivated him. Now that the book's been out for a while and he's had a lot more success and this book's been out for several years, now that doesn't motivate him. Now it's about having an impact on people's lives.
Right.
And you can offer him all the money in the world, but if he's not making an impact on the people attending, he's not going to be there. And what happens to us in our life is that we also change and our needs change over time. But more importantly, it's not really about us, it's about our clients. And so understanding what your clients' wants, needs, and fears are is the way that you add value in real estate. First, what do they want to do? Buy, sell, or invest? What do they need to get the best deal, get affordable deal, get the most for their money if they're selling? And what
Yeah.
is their fear? That they're leaving money on the table, that they're working with somebody that they don't trust, or somebody who's not going to be working for them. And so, number one, understand wants, needs, and fears is how you build value for your customers. And then lastly, it's kind of to understand that the road to success and the road to failure in a career or mediocrity in a career look exactly the same. But success usually comes to those who are too busy doing work and not looking for it. So just do the work and success will come. Don't worry about a commission check. Take care of the customer and you'll get paid at the end. And it's only when you start taking new chances that your life will begin to change. And it's the most difficult risk that we can do is to be completely honest with ourselves and admit whether we're doing everything that we possibly can in a workday to provide the best life that we can for our family.
That's
And
right.
when you're completely honest with yourself, are you really making that last phone call? Are you knocking on that door? Are you calling your past customers? Are you calling your friends and family and reminding them for what you do for a living? And it's when you can do that, because at the end of the day, we can do all the book clubs in the world and we can try to hold your hand, but you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing my part. I didn't do everything I could last week, so I got to make up for it today. And that's really what I took from the chapters that you guys were going over.
I know that's it. I mean, everybody here, we hold everybody else accountable. Are you holding yourself accountable? You know,
Yeah.
that's that message right there that you're saying, Mike. And I think that's something a lot of us probably don't. You know, we really do. Or we're going to make sure everybody else is doing, or we need to make sure you are doing what you're supposed to. What I've asked you to, especially in a deal, you know, is this what's going on? But are you doing it for yourself? Are you holding yourself accountable? And in this industry, in this business, if you are, it's only going to lead to success. We've got leaders across the board on this call. Like I said, you are all leaders in your industry. You are here with a purpose and a reason. And you know, we want to see you succeed. So we're going to do everything we can to get you there. Sandra, final thoughts.
Well, I would just yeah, we're a little over 10 o'clock,
We
so
made it an hour.
yeah, we made it an hour. We weren't for sure because we only had three chapters. We covered so many before, so I was scared. But yeah, no, I mean, we are all leaders, and yeah, I just again, I guess my final thought would be like if I was reading this and really digging in, I like that it reminded me that to get my focus off of my thoughts and other people and that's what makes you a great leader, honestly. When you're thinking about other people, you're thinking about your clients and your transaction, how you're gonna make it calm for them. I think the biggest compliment in real estate is when your clients tell you, "Oh my God, I could never do your job. I could never ever do that. That was so stressful. How do you do that? Oh my gosh." I just think that's like such a compliment because it's so they blow up it's such a huge thing because it's their one deal. But
Yeah.
for us, we kind of get used to it and we get calm about things.
Hmm.
And I always like that compliment. Um, so hopefully the agents are getting that compliment that their clients know that we're taking on a lot of stress for them. We're being good leaders.
I think that's the case. I think I saw each person who had their camera on gave you a nod and smile in full agreement with that thought process on that, Sandra. And that's, you know, like Mike said, you know, don't worry about that paycheck at the end. You take care of your customer, and it's going to be there. You know that. So take care of your client. You know, we go at every retail store, restaurant, shop. We look at their customer service. We can see who sucks and who doesn't. Like we'll have those. You could go on Yelp, Google reviews, all those things, and we judge based on that. Well, I saw this review. This place only has 3.8 stars. I'm going to go to the one that's 4.2 stars. This is how society is on that. So make sure you're a five-star agent. All of you are five-star agents. You're here,
Uh,
so you should be. And you know, reach out to those clients. Make sure they're doing those real satisfied reviews. Make sure they're updating, you know, your Google reviews so that when people look you up and you know they can't see your full identity online, but they see a piece of you on there. So make sure they're seeing the right things. That's all we've
I
got.
think
2 days. Oh,
the
go.
the last thing would be, just your attitude of remembering that we are so privileged to work. There's
Mhm.
so many people who can't work. We are so privileged to be able to sell homes and change lives and do what we do. Um, and just keeping that in mind. This is not a job. It's a privilege to get up and work every day.
There it is. I'm not.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Yep, that's work is a blessing from Charlie. Sandra, I love this session that we had today. Thank you very
Yay.
much for joining us. Angela, guess who is on deck?
Woo!
That would be you right there. She's already got her
We
finger
roped her
going.
into the book club.
I'm excited. Next week we'll go over chapters 16 and 17 of The Power of One More. So I'm looking forward to that one. Get on our Zoom next week. There's the company-wide Zoom that's going on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That gets posted to the company Facebook afterwards on that. If you do miss it, keep an eye out for those emails from everybody and go to your offices. Just work together, collaborate, talk to us, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. But until next week, Sandra, great job.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thanks,
Adam, for your
everybody.
help.
We'll see you then.